about the dismal box office numbers. Yeah, we're having our 2017, 2018 on our hands. Well, we have movies that do better at the beginning. They do a lot. For example, 2017's box office, you have Wonder Woman doing so well, then you have all these movies, quote unquote long awaited, highly anticipated, completely bombing. First is The Flash. Okay, this movie is doing so poorly. Okay, doing so poorly. It went open to 55 million. Okay, this movie is doing so poorly internationally. Oh, these numbers are bad. These numbers are bad. Internationally, this movie only opened to $140 million globally. I don't think Warner Bros. Can save this movie. There's nothing they can do. Okay, nothing they can do to save this movie as well. This movie is just as big as a failure as Black Adam. It'll probably lose just as much money. So I think Warner Bros. Is sort of not release this movie. I think of all I think they were trying to save this movie, but I think it was too late, and then they put this movie out to fail. Companies do this sometimes, and Flash is another example of this. I was actually kind of hoping this movie would do well because they brought back the old Batman, but it seems that the Star Wars debate doesn't always work every single time. So yeah, Flash is a failure of the year. Speaking of failures, we already talked about Elemental so much. Okay. But Elemental. This movie is Strange World 2. Okay. 15 million internationally and 29.5 million domestically. This movie is an absolute failure. Okay. The movie, by the people, is considered one of Pixar's worst movies ever made. Okay. And that's not exaggerating it. This is one of Pixar's worst movies. And it's Pixar's worst performance ever. This movie looked bland, generic, and uninteresting from the very beginning. Okay. There was nothing special about Elemental. Okay. Nothing special about this movie. This movie looked boring. It looked generic. It looked pretty bad. Okay. Elemental is a colossal box office failure of epic proportions. The fact that no one wants to watch this movie is telling. And Disney is going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars on this movie. So, Flash at least made $100 million its first weekend. Elemental can't even do that. And next is Spider-Verse. I don't think they've updated the international sales for Spider-Verse, but Spider-Verse will cross $300 million domestically, almost certainly. This movie is doing way better than the first Spider-Verse movie, and they have not updated the international totals. That's why I have not updated the box office totals yet for the Spider-Verse. We'll talk about the box office again tomorrow, including the updated international totals as well. But Cross the Spider-Verse is going to pass $500 million once the international totals are through as well. Transformers Rise of Beasts. Apparently, this movie is going to lose a lot of money because this movie is not having any legs internationally. It dropped. It actually had a small drop internationally. And that's probably mostly because of China. But it seems that this movie is disappointing in the largest market. Again, the box office for China and all these countries have not been updated. But apparently, this movie might be a big failure on our hands. So, yep, Transformers Rise of the Beasts is not doing too well at the box office. Which Michael Bay has basically scarred this franchise as well. And I think they really should take like a 3 or 5 year break from the Transformers series. Release that animated movie that they want to release. But I think they should really take a break from this franchise for a while. Let it recover. And, I think this movie, they'll try and reboot Transformers. But I don't think again our Transformers anytime soon due to the writer's strike. We have that going on. And, of course, this movie not performing all too well at the box office. So this movie passed $100 million domestically. And it also will pass $200 million internationally. So this movie has been disappointing internationally. China is not really pulling through for Transformers. Next is Trash or The Little Mermaid remake. This movie is slowing down massively. I think it's gonna get worse next week. It's gonna probably be like 6 to 7 million as well. This movie might not even pass $500 million. Okay, this movie will probably pass $500 million globally, but still gonna lose a lot of money as well. Okay, this movie's still gonna lose a lot of money. It also only made $5 million in its opening weekend in Japan, which is not too good for this movie. It's already flopping in many countries, including China and Korea. Okay, Japan is a much bigger market than Korea, but not as big as China. And it's not really doing too well in China. No, Japan only opening to 5 million, which you would think that Japan is immune to this stuff. No, not even Japan wants to see this because it's garbage. Okay, not even Japan is gonna save this garbage from flopping. Okay, but The Little Mermaid, because Little Mermaid is not a good movie. So Spider-Verse is also coming out, which means Spider-Verse is gonna destroy that movie in Japan, which further proves that The Little Mermaid is a failure. And I think they also updated the international totals, which makes it even sadder as well. Next is The Blackening, another failure by Lionsgate. Okay, Lionsgate has stopped making movies. Okay, they have no franchises, they have nothing going for them. Okay, and they keep making, they don't have any franchises besides John Wick and Saw and Hunger Games. So they're trying everything they can to, but again, in this modern day and age of the box office, if you're not a part of a franchise, you won't make money. That's how it has been since 2021. So yeah. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The movie has made $820 million globally. This movie is slowing down massively globally. So yeah. Next is The Boogeyman. Made $51 million. Again, this movie is going to lose $40 million with Disney. Again, couldn't happen to a better company as well. So next, of course, is Fast X. This movie is going to pass $100 million. I think this movie might make money through streaming in, international markets. Like Transformers. I think this and Transformers will make money through streaming. Again, this would be a lesson for who made this? Who made this movie? Universal. Don't spend so much money on a movie. It might not be able to make back its money. Okay? Fast and the Furious, and that's probably why they're ending Fast and the Furious, because people are sick and tired of this franchise. So, this movie is basically dead at the box office as well. Not surprising, because Fast and Furious is probably one of the most boring series of all time. And of course, we have Mario. Yes, we're talking about Mario still. Made $3.28 billion. The only movie that made $1 billion this year so far. And I don't think Flash is going to make $1 billion. I thought it would. But again, Ezra Miller tanked that movie. And that movie is doing so poorly. And the box office is yet another weak weekend as well. And I think after this year, Hollywood's going to warn not to spend $200 million in every single release. Because it really is going to hurt them at the end. Okay, Flash, $200 million. Elemental, $200 million. Little Mermaid, $200 million. Transformers Rise of the Beast, $200 million. Fast X, $340 million. Guardians of the Galaxy, $200 million. And guess what? Everything except for Guardians of the Galaxy is going to lose money. Okay? Because you need to make $500 million for a $200 million movie to break even. Okay? And it's going to hurt Hollywood massively financially. Okay? And that's based on this video here. Goodbye.